Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode on the Growth Project podcast. My name is Sherise, and I am forever your host. So on today's episode, we are getting a little businessy, or a little bit like we're talking about true fucking action and change today. And I wanted to talk about building habits and just understanding truly what consistency is. So I think that this is going to be the title of the episode, something around consistency. But thank you guys so much for being here as always. And let's just dive right in. So consistency, this is something that I feel like all of us struggle with, if not, if not everyone, right? So, momaldani in our lives, or in some aspect of our lives, we struggle with consistency, or we struggle with our idea of what consistency is. And there is so many reasons why consistency is hard for us, and I think a lot of it has to play with the ideas that we have around consistency that is inhibiting us from actually being consistent. And then there's the other part of the body and our mind-body connection, and just truly, we have been reliant on our minds for so long. Our minds kind of run us now, and it runs our life, and we are kind of unaware of that. So we basically do and react the way that the mind sees fit. And when we talk solely about the mind, this is sometimes you guys might hear me say the word ego on here, and I'm truly talking about, just the mind's desires. Because the mind is something that is developed in earth, right? So the mind is developed here, but the soul, the spirit, and everything that comes from before. The mind is of this realm, we'll say. And this is why a lot of times you guys hear people saying 3D consciousness, blah blah blah. They're talking about the consciousness, or people who just live in the 3D world. And what is a 3D? Three-dimensional, just everything I see. I only believe what I see, what I can touch, what I can smell. I'm just living life truly based off what I see. I believe everything my brain says, or what everyone says to me, the government, the media. Truly, I believe in my 5 senses only. That's 3D to me. And like I said, so the ego, the mind, is created here. And a lot of times we don't realize that is truly running our lives, and it's what is making it so hard for us to make the changes that we want to see in our life. So on the topic of consistency, and consistency being so hard, and just our thought processes around consistency, I recently did an episode with one of my favorite coaches, and in it we were discussing consistency related to something else, but I don't want to spoil it for you guys. But we were discussing consistency, and she shared a similar vision of what consistency means to her now versus what it meant to her before. And consistency to me now means really and truly that I'm doing something more than I'm not doing it. For right now, this is a definition in which I will hold my consciousness, because it is the one that is most serving me. So consistency means that I am doing the thing more than I'm not doing the thing. And the reason why I've chosen to adopt this belief around consistency is because honestly, my old belief around consistency was keeping me back more than it was pushing me forward. So all my old beliefs around consistency was, if I don't do something every single day, I'm not consistent. If I don't do it perfectly, so let's say I don't show up at the gym every single time that I planned, do the workout that I planned, or whatever, it's not perfect. If I missed a day, it's not perfect, therefore it's not consistent. If I don't do the same plan every single week, Mondays I do this, and Wednesdays I do this, and Fridays I do this, then it's not consistent. what else? There's just like so many other like definitions of consistency, but consistency truly meant to me that I needed to be doing something like all the time, every day. And if I wasn't really doing it, or if I missed days, or if I was missing like, time in between, then that's not really truly consistency. That was my old belief around consistency. And I think that we can see, just by me saying it out loud, like, how that already sets us up for failure. Because I'm so sorry, but there's things that you can do every single day in your life, of course, but there's things that like, certain things are probably like basic needs and stuff like that. But even that, you don't even have to do it every single day for you to stay alive. Like, you don't have to eat every day for you to be alive. You don't have to shower every day for you to be alive. Like, you'll still be alive. So there's almost like nothing that you need to do like every single day of your life, or else like you'll die. I'm trying to think, like, honestly, this will be so interesting, because if there's something that pops to your mind, literally, you don't even need to pause this episode. Just literally write me on Instagram that like, no, we actually need to do this every single day or we'll die, or something like that, and tell me, because nothing's coming to mind, and I don't want to keep you guys on here as my mind goes through this. But we set ourselves up for failure by expecting ourselves to do things perfectly from the beginning. And that's the worst part of consistency for me, is that I thought that like on top of being consistent, right, I had to be perfect at doing it. So the thing is that like, I'm just seeing the circle that I put myself in, because I wanted perfect consistency. So we already know that perfect doesn't exist, and then consistent being every day, perfect every day, doing the thing that I'm supposed to do. That definition of consistency, obviously we can see how that held me back, and how that type of like version of consistency holds so much of us by like it is literally holding us by the neck, because there's, like I said, it's almost impossible to do something perfectly consistently every single day for the rest of your life, and believing that is already setting you up for failure. So that's one. Now, I believe the more times that I do something versus the less times that I don't do it equals consistency for me now. So what does that look like? That looks like if you're going to the gym and you have said, actually, you know what, I'm going to start smaller, because a lot of us don't realize that for change, we tend to want to make these big changes in our lives, right? Big changes. And what happens is that, and this is part of my story too, so trust me, like, it's important. What happens is that we want to make big changes. So we use this this monumental amount of energy, especially in the beginning of something, to do it. And we do it and we expend so much energy, and but we're excited and we have the willpower, and we do it, and everything seems to be going good, right? And then there comes a time where, that natural motivation starts to wane. And that, my friends and family, is called the dip. So this is where I wanted to take you guys. Surviving the dip is what is going to help you make long-lasting change, and is also what's going to help you stay more consistent with anything in your life, is surviving that dip, where that you have that low amount of motivation, but you're still wanting to produce or do that same thing, and it's taking so much amount of energy from you. Like, the high is gone and now you're in the low, you're in the dip. The thing is that most people quit in the dip, like they'll stop there, because that's when it doesn't become fun anymore. That's when, and I think like in most things, that's like the middle mark. So like if it's starting the gym, it's like around the third week. So maybe the first week, the first 10 days, you're killing this. And then around day 11, 12, 13, 14, like 14 to 20, it's like truly always that middle mark that really gets you. And when you really have to use your willpower to like overcome your external, like overcome your emotional circumstances. And this is the dip, guys. This is the dip. And my thing of how I've been like staying so consistent is that I've been surviving crazy dips all the time. Like there's not one dip. There'll be multiple dips. They won't all be the same. They won't be all the same frequency. They won't all be super deep as well. Sometimes there's just going to be a little dip in motivation. But surviving those dips are so, so important. So for this episode, I didn't prepare the why we go through the dip. Like I didn't prepare that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just like on the mic off the dome. And so like I didn't actually prepare exactly like the science behind why there's a dip, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with like our motivation, our dopamine, like the fact that like we're doing a new thing in the beginning, we're super motivated, and then there's the newness of it, and then it starts to become routine, it starts to become mundane, starts to become boring. Like I said, it takes more willpower. We like to do things that don't take a lot of willpower from us because that takes a lot of effort. So in the beginning, when we're super pumped up for doing something, it definitely comes more easily. And then we start having that dip, and then we got to learn discipline. And then, and then we, kind of like survive that dip and go back to the homeostasis or the natural flow point in which that becomes, let's say, your new normal or something that's easier for you to maintain. So with my personal story with this, and I'm going to tie this with like my personal story, definitely in the beginning, leaving my job, making that decision, starting my podcast, like the boost from that, guys, is fucking believable. Like it's unbelievable. It was the highest of highs. That is what I will want to tell you guys, because when people talk to me about like, I'm so scared about starting this or launching this or doing this, I'm like, seriously, hit me up, guys, because there's nothing to be scared of. Like as soon as you hit play, as soon as you hit post, as soon as you start talking about your shit, like and like you don't need the positive feedback, but as soon as you start, especially when you start seeing positive feedback coming in, like the high that you are on from like worrying so much and for just like being in your brain and having so much fear, like the relief and the high that you're on is really, really incredible. And me, I'm like so in this with a purpose and with like so much conviction and passion. So I feel like the high was even doubled, tripled, because I'm like, I'm fucking doing this for me, for my community, for my kids, for like, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna be the representation that I want to see. Like I'm not gonna wait for it to arise. Like I'm gonna fucking be it. So that high, fucking incredible. I was mass producing like crazy. I was putting so much like content, so much stuff out, episodes, everything like that. And if you guys listen to episode 13 of this podcast, which is all about like the laziness lie and everything about rest and why it's so important and the capitalist lie and everything like that, like you guys know that in that episode I gave you even a more in-depth view of like as I was living the dip, because I was living the dip during those episodes. I was living the dip. I had to take breaks because I was trying to keep up with that high and that boost that I got in the beginning, and I wasn't willing to like readjust. Okay, so one part of surviving the dip that is so important, if you are an entrepreneur, if you are wanting to start your business, if you're just wanting to make any change at all, is that you're going to have to realize that it is okay to adjust your original plan. Okay, let's say you decided you wanted to go to the gym 4 times a week. Okay, 4 times a week, and week 1, it's amazing, 4 times, done. Week 2, amazing, 4 times, done. But then on week 3, you start going through the dip. You start, maybe your brain is making more excuses. Maybe you went to the gym 2 times and it's already Friday and your brain's like, oh, fuck it. Like, we won't even make the 4 times, so why even bother? If you are still trying to cling to that unrealistic consistency needs to be perfect every single week, every single day, every single time, then you are setting yourself up for failure, because I promise you that next week you're not going to feel more motivated to go do 4 times a week. And on top of that, you messed up this week. So if you're holding yourself to that standard, you're going to even feel more pressure the next week to commit to doing 4 days. So you're feeling more pressure, but your willpower and your desire to do this thing is going down. So I don't know, like I'm talking to you guys, but my hand is like a volume, like going up and down. But I wish that you guys could truly see, like, you are going against yourself, and like you're exhausting like all your willpower, all your decision making, all of that on trying to get yourself to, maybe keep up, or feel like, oh, I only went 2 times last week, maybe I gotta go 5 times this week, or whatever. Let yourself know that, like, you're in the dip. This is becoming kind of boring. This is becoming kind of mundane. And this is the time where you're going to need to exert a little bit more willpower. But you can also allow yourself to adjust to the fact that, like, your dopamine has decreased, your motivation has decreased. Like, I am not here to tell people, like, force yourself, go through it. Like, if you guys want that, go ahead. But, like, for real, I have seen it so many times, not in it only in my life, but in others, that type of advice truly doesn't work for everyone, and it sets us up, a lot of us, for failure. So be willing to adjust your plan, be willing to adjust your output, be willing to compromise with yourself, be willing to improvise. So what does that mean? On week 3 so week 3, you did it twice. You kind of messed up, maybe, whatever. On week 4, first day, you went to the gym. Amazing. Second time, went to the gym. Third time, you're not willing to go to the gym. Your brain is against you. Your body is against you. Whatever. Could you, instead of wanting it to be perfect and having it be necessary that you absolutely go to the gym for this to remain consistent or perfect, could you possibly find it to compromise with yourself in that one specific moment, or allow yourself a little bit of compassion and be like, yeah, this is a dip, it fucking sucks, it's a little bit hard. How about, you know what, you've been so consistent lately, I will reward you by allowing you to go on a 15-minute walk today instead of going to the boring ass gym. How about that? Like, how about you put on your pair of headphones and go do a 30-minute walk? Like, I don't know, 30 minutes to replace your 30-minute workout. Like, whatever. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be the same thing. Like, if your goal, and this is going into the second point of surviving the dip, which is remembering why you're doing what you're doing. If your goal is to be more fit, more active, more whatever, then is it true that the only way that you can be more active, more fit, or whatever it is at the gym, is going to the gym? Is that the actual truth? Is that the only truth that exists? And I know we're going deeper into like truths and like our beliefs and everything like that, but it's like it is so important. So the first part of surviving the dip is allowing yourself to make necessary adjustments to keep your motivation, to keep your consistency, and to keep your energy levels like a little bit stable, I would say, because during that time, most people try to really exert themselves and they've never really done that before. You know, all of a sudden you're starting going to the gym, like you've never really exerted your willpower like that before, and now you're forcing it on yourself. And then afterwards, when you feel like you fail, you're beating yourself up and then not going to the gym anymore. I would prefer that you took like that 30-minute walk. Like, wouldn't you prefer that you took that 30-minute walk and you saved yourself that day? You saved yourself from binge eating, from beating yourself up, from telling yourself that you're crap and that you're not consistent. You saved yourself from that day. And guess what? Maybe on the Saturday, you're like, you know what? Because I did that, I feel so refreshed and I'm so ready to go to the fucking gym. Because I did that walk on Thursday, I'm so refreshed to go to the gym on Saturday. I can definitely do it. So that's why like self-compassion is my whole thing. Like, discipline is so important, but discipline without self-compassion to me is also like a form of just like controlling yourself and abusing yourself as well. So discipline with self-compassion is to me key. And like I said, okay, so that was your fourth week you made it through with 3 workouts and 1 active walk around your neighborhood, right? And some days it's gonna be like that. Some weeks you're gonna have your period. Some days your back is going to hurt. But allowing yourself to rest, to adapt, to adjust as well will definitely help you in those times where, you know, you have to make a black or white decision. You know, when your brain's like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to the gym. If you truly want to stay consistent or survive that and not sabotage yourself, instead of trying to hold to a perfect standard, give yourself some wiggle room. You know what I mean? Give yourself some like flexibility so that you can stay consistent without like holding yourself to so much rigidity and routine. So this has helped me tremendously in my business. Like I said, I've survived a couple dips now. There was the dip of first content, then there was the dip of clients. So again, as soon as I posted up my services, I think like before, like in October, November, got a bunch of clients that came in. Around the holidays time, it was a little bit dead. January was a little bit dead. And now we're in February. So I had to survive that dip of January, guys, because especially it was after the holidays period. We, in Montreal, we were in a lockdown. It was just like another period. It was just like, ugh. And I had to survive that dip because I was truly hoping that, you know, the beginning of the year would be a super huge launch for me. And I would see everybody posting their new year, getting their new year clients and everything like that. And it was bugging me. So I had to it was bugging me. So I was going through the feels. And I had to survive that dip. And that dip was not based on motivation alone, but of belief. So that's earlier I said that the dips won't be the same and they won't be at the same degree or the same frequency or about the same thing. And I think that I don't know if people are truly talking about like this when it comes to change. That change is not something that is very linear or it's upright. You know what I mean? So we think that as soon as we start doing the thing and what is it that they say? After 21 days, something's a habit. Like that has been totally dispelled. Like if you guys want to go check out that myth, you can go check it out. But that is not even actual factual. Like, yes, it helps you to get into a groove or into a routine, but I'm going to give you guys all one fucking example to dispel this myth. How many of you have started going to the gym, have went to the gym for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, summer came around, you slacked on your gym, or winter came around, you slacked on your gym, and like, you didn't go back. So you did it more than 21 days and it still didn't stick. Like seriously, some of these things, like I said, like not all advice works for everyone. And there's this whole like morality thing with advice where it's like, you know, if it's not promoting discipline or if it's promoting like a different or easier way or just like another workaround, it's like, well, it's not good enough. But I'm really, really, really here to just dispel all of this shit, to understand that imperfect change is just as important as anything, and it's just as efficient, and it works. So you don't have to be even perfect in your change and even perfect in your consistency for you to have actual real change in your life. So like I said, so as I was saying, this dip was more like in my belief and in my faith. And I was just like, okay, I got some clients, short-term clients, but I wasn't getting the long-term clients that I wanted. The one-on-one long-term clients who were truly, ready to work on their growth and their inner world, and to stop perfectionism from holding them back. So there is so much I learned during this time about consistency, change, and belief, like I said, and I wanted to come on here and share that with you guys. It just felt so important, because I see a lot of people beating themselves up for being consistent, and I see a lot of people as well congratulating me or telling me like, yo, you're so motivated, you're so consistent with your podcast, you're so consistent with like your content, with like everything that you're doing. And I am like truly shocked when people tell me that, because I'm like, dude, I'm not consistent as like I truly use that as an eye opener, because I was like, okay, why are people seeing that I'm more consistent than I am seeing? Like, that doesn't make sense. So I really had to look into that and reflect on that. And I noticed it was because I was surviving these dips, guys. I was surviving these dips in motivation. I was surviving these dips in belief and in faith. I was keeping my feet running. Even during those dips, like, you guys know, I've been telling you guys that I would be putting out podcasts every single week. And I still put out podcasts like every single 2 weeks. Like, I truly try. Like, sometimes I'll do it back to back 1 week, and then 2 weeks will pass, and then I'll put out a podcast. And I had to stop beating myself up and telling myself like, dude, you're not sticking to your 1 week. Because I promise you guys, like, the content and the videos that I was making to stay up with the trend or to stay up with the consistency was not as valuable. It was not as valuable. I promise you guys this, because if not, I would have posted them. And I didn't feel like posting them because I didn't feel like they were valuable. So I ended up creating like this whole, like, a lot of content. I ended up creating, like, okay, I always recycle content, and I feel like, okay, everything has gold in it, so I will still use whatever gold I can find. But when I tell you that the value or the overall quality of the message that I was delivering was not potent enough, because I feel like, yeah, it was just not potent enough. It was because I was trying to be consistent and to put out content all the time and to put out episodes, like 2 episodes or 1 episode a week, and that's just not me. That's not how my soul functions. That's just not how I get inspired, or that's not how inspiration comes to me. So I was trying to do this cookie cutter way of running this business, of expanding, and it was not working. And during my dips, I really had to readjust and realize, like, listen, this podcast is going to come out in 2 weeks, and it's going to come out in 2 weeks. And I'm going to make it the best podcast that I can make it for you guys. So this was just a little episode, guys. Like I said, I promise you I will go more in depth. And this is going to be a series that I'm going to come on and talk to you guys about, the behind the scenes of what I'm going through and what I'm feeling, and how I'm dealing with it as my business continues to expand, as I'm getting new opportunities and gigs. And it's like, okay, some shit is actually happening, some shit's manifesting right now. And it's like, it's like, when you pray for things and it finally comes and you're like, whoo, damn, okay, it's here, like, it's coming. This is what I'm feeling right now. This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going through right now. And I'm like, damn, how did I get here? How did I get here? Because I want to document this for you guys too. I don't want it to only be, me telling you guys the things way after I learned it, I want you guys to see it real life as well. So that is where I'm at for today, guys. And like I said, I'm going to go so much more onto being consistent, because this is something that has plagued me my whole entire life. Like I don't talk about things that I haven't personally dealt with. Like I don't know if that was clear at all in my podcast, but I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm not talking to you guys about things here that I haven't personally dealt with and truly like delved into. Like I'm gonna talk a lot about consistency and like and complacency, and having low willpower, and not being able to get yourself to do things, and how to change and how to get yourself to do the hard things, because these are the things that I literally struggle with every day of my life, and that I've been struggling with. So whether or not it's gotten way much better, I'm way more consistent now. I'm way I would say less lazy and all of that, but it's part of the journey, and it's still things that I'm working on. And as I continue to work on it and develop new strategies and have new insights around it, I want to share this with you guys in real time. So hopefully, this lands on the ears of those who truly value it and who would truly value it, because I truly believe that there is something to documenting the messiness, and there is something to messy change. There is something to not knowing everything before you do something, not needing everything to be perfect before you do something or attempt to do something. Like there's so much that you can learn in the doing of, in the experience of. And I truly want you guys to, that's truly part of my message here for you guys. So I hope that you guys really love this episode today. And as always, you can find all information about me on Instagram at Sherise, and in the show notes of this episode, wherever you're listening it. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, talk to you soon.